Hello, my lovely people. I'm going to show you how to run STK as a tutorial, which is a little bit different than what we did before. So the first thing we need to do is go to your folder in your network drive. And yours looks a little bit different than mine, so you need to navigate to the one that's My Documents or something, wherever you can access your folders. And for me, it's called Private. And create a new folder called STK. So I created a folder called STK, and there's nothing in it right now. That's Satellite Toolkit, I believe is what that's called. So just an STK folder. All right, so it's there. And now we are going to launch STK. And you may have to accept the license agreement. And it's going to ask where you want things to be saved. Don't just click OK without reading alerts. You got to figure out what's going on here. So I'm not going to be allowed to save it in the C drive. You never can. And if you ever are allowed to, that's bad because you'll never be able to access it. So we should browse. And in my case, I'm going to computer. So I believe that's how you have to go to it too. So click on computer. Don't just choose your name. You have to click on computer because you have to select the H drive. So the network drive. So I'm going to actually drag this window, make it larger. It's a little bit easier for me to see. And I'll navigate to where I saved, or that STK folder was, and here it is. And then you click OK. So now it's actually navigating to that spot. And it says allow access to the internet for imagery. Yes, we'll do that. And it says I've selected an existing directory. That's because I already practiced this. You may not get that a particular alert. And now we just got to let it load. So if you get a demo license expiration thing, that's fine. I'm just going to say don't show that again. And next thing we need to do is we're going to click on the help button. And this may take a minute to launch and load up, and it may come up right away. The first thing I need you to do is click on what is STK. And it walks you through that what STK does. It helps you visually and accurately display land, sea, and air. And let's scroll down. I'm just going to walk you through this really quick. It can give dynamic positions. So as satellites are moving, it can kind of show you where they are. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. And kind of relayed between things. If you have mountains in the way, it can help you relay. It can do, it says relationships can be modeled across multi-hop links. And then it can assess different weather conditions and different things. So it's pretty cool. You can do a lot of cool things. So what we need to do is we're going to run a tutorial on this to kind of simulate one of these. So I want you to click Tutorials and then STK Quick Start. And this is the tutorial you're going to do. You are going to model a satellite in here. And then we have a couple base stations, one in North America and then one in Australia. And you can find out the times that the satellite is visible by those ground satellite receivers. And this is sort of a view from space. This is kind of the imaginary cone that comes out and where this can see. So it can give you an idea when you can actually see a satellite and maybe how many satellites you would need to have so that there's always one visible so that they can kind of relay to each other. If you think GPS, we got to have a lot of satellites because here there's a lot of area, this purple lines, where the receiver does not actually see the satellite. So you are going to have this open, and pretty much from now you're going to be on your own. You're going to click Next and walk through this step by step. But take 1 second, and I'm going to skip ahead to a couple of these because there's one particular one that you are not allowed to do, and that is this 2D and 3D graphics settings. So once you get to 2D and 3D graphics settings, this page here, you can skip this one altogether. It will allow you to change the 2D graphics, and all you're doing is changing them to squares and X's, just the images on the map. And that's okay. We don't need to get into that. It will not allow you to change the 3D graphics, and that can be frustrating if you try that. So if you've forgotten that and you give it a shot and you call me over for help, I'll just remind you. But you don't need to do 2D and 3D graphics. Everything else should work from here, so you can continue through the tutorial all the way through till the end.